Can you hear me? Check 1 2. Can you hear me? Check 1 2. All right. Hey, Sean Q here. Your high ticket sales coach, and I'm so excited because we are going to be doing these bonus Q&A sessions the entire week. And so, if you have a question, we have a support thread. I want to help you land a client. Look, I literally trained you for 5+ hours last week, coached you yesterday, had a guest expert panel answering questions on Saturday, literally supporting you and doing everything you need to land a client this week. So you can do it. Now, I know there's some additional questions that can come up, so I want to answer those questions. And so make sure you ask those questions. Use hashtag questions in the chat, and I'll make sure to answer those questions. All right. If you're with me live, go to put hashtag team live. If you're on the rerun, go to put hashtag team rerun. I'm Sean Q, and I help people easily land world-class clients so they can have a lot more fun in their business and do things a lot more simpler and easier, so you don't have to use the ick and sleaze and non-consensual sales tricks of the past. So let's go ahead and dive deep into these questions. So question number 1 from Paige. If you're live with me, can you go ahead and tag Paige? Paige Bliss, you are amazing. So you asked the question. You said, how would you suggest a coach respond when a referral connection who is not my ICA asks for my pricing so they can quote unquote pass it along? I don't typically share my pricing except in a sales conversation after a while talk with a potential client, but when the situation came up, I admit I was caught off guard. Okay, such a great question when it comes to pricing specifically. So pricing specifically is very strategic. One, you want to make sure that you're pricing your offer strategically. And then number 2, you also want to make sure that you're sharing your price strategically. Here's the thing. Go ahead and take this. If you're taking notes, write this down. Possibilities beats affordability every single time. Okay, possibilities over affordability. Go ahead and put that in the chat and make sure that you have that in your notes because that's a hashtag gold nugget. What that means is if you share your pricing too immaturely, they're not ready to even commit, then what you're doing is you're putting them in an affordability mindset. And here's what you want to do. Instead, you want to strategically place your pricing in a way where people who are actually committed, people who are actually interested, they'll see the pricing. But in this specific situation where they're like, oh, well, what's your pricing so I can pass it along? You don't actually want people to pass along the pricing because the pricing is changing all the time. Look, our pricing is literally doubling this Friday at 5:01 p.m. Pacific time. We're literally going to be selling our program instead of for $99.97, we're going to be selling it for $19.97, literally doubling our price. So if I have given someone a price to pass along, what they're passing along is an affordability mindset. And look, I don't want people to pass along affordability. I want people to pass along, hey, this guy can help you land more clients. That's the message I want them to pass along. So I would say that's a great question. Unfortunately, I only share my pricing with people when I'm in a conversation with them. And that's because my pricing changes literally all the time. We double our prices every single year. We raise our prices to match inflation and living, like cost of living. And so prices are changing all the time, but I'd love for you to pass this along instead and let them know exactly how to introduce you to someone who is a potential client for you. And then you do want to have your pricing strategically placed. We talk about that in Clients with Purpose, which you can enroll now until Friday. And it's pretty incredible. So you want to strategically place it, and you want them to get committed before you even talk about the pricing. So super key. But we talk about with our clients, we do a whole intensive on pricing and all that cool stuff. So, but that's how I would address that is, hey, that's a great question. Unfortunately, I don't share my pricing unless I'm in front of a committed client or somebody who's interested. And so instead, would you mind passing this along that Sean Q is a high ticket sales coach and that he can help you? Or Paige is a blank and she can help you with blank. You want to give them the messaging to share. Now, if you're live with me, go to put hashtag team live. If you're on the rerun, go to put hashtag team rerun. Say hi. How are you doing? I want to know what you're working on. And how are you landing clients this week? Let me know in the chat. Okay, Rivers. Rivers asked a couple of really great questions, which is really cool. So she says that, how do you handle if someone insists they're too emotional to decide on your offer? I usually schedule a follow-up call, but feel tongue-tied in what to say when I get on that follow-up call. Okay. And then she actually did that call that she was planning on having, and it was kind of awkward. Went as well as possible. She said she needs to sleep on it. Okay, here's the thing. If I know specifically for you, Rivers, because of the type of coaching that you do, it is emotional work where you're helping people with traumas, you're helping people with intimacy, you're helping people with challenges that can be very emotionally triggering. And so the first thing is make sure that you're trauma informed, make sure that you are not damaging anyone, but you're actually supporting and helping people, and you're staying in your lane. If here's the biggest red flag I see, and I'm not saying you do this, Rivers, but the biggest red flag I see in the coaching industry is coaches trying to be therapists, or coaches trying to be psychiatrists, or coaches trying to be psychologists. Listen, you can bring your research into your coaching call, but you want to make sure that you're coaching. You're not therapizing. You're not providing a service that's completely out of your league and is actually hurting people's trauma instead of supporting them. With that said, obviously there are emotions coming up. Sometimes people cry on coaching calls. I can't tell you how many coaching calls I've been on where somebody's like, they're in tears. Somebody has told me, Sean, I have this dream that I've never shared with anyone ever. I have this dream I've never shared with anyone ever. And they're in tears because they're releasing these possibilities and this vision, and they're stepping up and they're rising up. So it can be emotional talking about challenges, and can be emotional talking about goals and vision. With that said, you want to create space for that. And then you also want to make sure that you have in your Wow Talk and sales conversation a strategy to have space to let them leave that. Okay. So sometimes what I'll do is, if I see a lot of emotion, I call it out. What's making this moment so emotional? Tell me more about that, right? Like, help them process it. If there's tears, point it out. I'm noticing a couple of tears are swelling in your eyes. Tell me more about that. Right? Acknowledge it. Give them the space to process it with you. And then something I like to do is simply have them journal, right? Do you mind grabbing a pen and paper? I'm actually going to give you about 2 minutes, and I want you to journal everything that's coming up for you. Help them process it. Help them explore it. Help them see what's happening within their own body. Another great question I like to ask if there's a lot of emotion is, where in your body are you feeling it? Sometimes people feel it in their head, sometimes in their chest, sometimes in their arms, sometimes in their thighs, sometimes in their feet, sometimes in their stomach, right? Where are they feeling that emotion? And help them identify what that emotion is and where it's at, so that they can process it. So when you do get into the sales part and you ask, would you like to hear what it would look like if I continued supporting you with this, what I can see is very emotional, they're ready for it. So you want to acknowledge it, give it space, let them process it. There's a couple of tools you can utilize. And then you want to make sure in your timing as well. So if it's a full hour long, you want to have 30 minutes for the Wow Talk. If they're getting emotional around the 20-minute mark, that's when okay, help them process it for the next 20 minutes, 10, 20 minutes. And then you'll still have 20 minutes for the sales part of the conversation. So you want to make sure you're timing yourself really well. So let me know if that was helpful for you, Rivers. Let me know in the chat, and then also let me know how that conversation went. Okay, another question. Ruth, you asked the question, which is really great in the support thread. You said, I'm preparing for my first interviews. Okay, before I actually go into this question with Rivers, we have several Wow Talks recorded and demonstrated where you can actually watch in Clients with Purpose, which is really exciting because it's going to help you see how to do it. And you're actually going to be able to practice that process with us. So we have this actually upcoming Monday. We're going to be practicing, but we're also going to be preparing people's sales visual aid, which is a whole strategy we talk about in Clients with Purpose. And so if you're in, you actually get access to that call, which is really great. So you can enroll now. Okay, Ruth, you asked a really great question. You said, I'm preparing for my first interviews. Aside from learning about their challenges and goals, in the workbook, you suggest also asking about your offer prices and logistics, which is more effective, outlining your draft offer and prices and asking for their thoughts on it, or something more like, if we were to create a paid program that would help you overcome what's holding you back, which of the following would you most be likely to sign up for? One-on-one coaching sessions over 6 months or 12 months, online, webinar, workshop, something else. I'm planning to ask a version of this latter option, see how it goes, but would love any input others may have. Great. Such a great question. Okay, so Ruth, here's actually what I would do. The questions that we've designed specifically for the challenge, because we have so many other really great questions in actually Clients with Purpose, but the questions we designed are designed to actually support you if you have an offer. So you mentioned a draft offer, which means you're in an exploratory phase, which is a really great place to be at because it means you can do the right things in the right order. Here's how I would actually present that. Instead of giving them options, because most people don't know. They might have a preference. Oh, a workshop would be great or a webinar. But here, the question really isn't which format would you prefer. The question is which format actually yields results. Okay, so if you're looking to create long-term results for people, then a 2-hour workshop may not be the format that you're doing. If you're looking for like quick, let's just get it done, let's go in, it's going to be high intensive, high action, a 2-hour workshop, 90-minute webinar, whatever, may actually be better. So it just depends. The format depends on the type of results you're looking for and the type of work you're doing. I would actually phrase this instead of what kind of accountability would you need in order to start seeing results? Or what kind of accountability would you want? What kind of work would you expect to do if we were going to do anything around these challenges and these goals? Those questions might yield you better results. So such a great question. Ruth, we actually have a whole process in Clients with Purpose in regards to which questions to ask. And interviews are actually only one way to do what's called this profitable insight digging. We have like 7 or 8 or 9, I think. Like there's so many different ways and a lot easier and a lot faster, which is really awesome. Ruth, I actually think you are so much closer to clients than you think you are. So much closer. So exciting. Okay. And then last question, if you have a question, go ahead and ask using #questions or go to our support thread and make sure you ask there. I'll be answering questions literally all week. So this might seem like an odd question, but here it is. Generally speaking, what would be attracting people to my work if I don't showcase it on the call? I don't have a very big following. This is why I'm leaning towards doing freebie group masterclasses and free group spiritual psychological experiences and then inviting people to a call to go deeper and purchase. Thoughts? Great question. Okay, so here's the thing. You mentioned you don't have a very big following, which means a couple of different things. 1, leverage the existing network you have. 2, build your network. Here's the thing. If you're not meeting new people every single week, even if it's like one person a week where you have a meaningful conversation with them and they're completely brand new to you and your network, that's 52 people. 52 people. If you had 52 people in a room and you said, I have this big mission that I'm going after and I really want to accomplish this big goal and I need your help, 52 people would jump on that because they want to support you. So here's the thing. If you're not meeting new people, then you're not going to build your audience, right? That's the whole point of having conversations. So make sure every single week you're having meaningful conversations with at least one new person. Now, we actually have a whole process, again, in Clients with Purpose on networking and building relationships in a way that actually feels really good and like makes it really fun. Because the worst thing you can do when you're networking is be really sleazy, right? Because you're just going to push people away. But we have a whole process that pulls people towards you, that allows you to deposit into their lives in such a way that you can then leverage those relationships in an ethical way, in a way that they actually want to support you. So we have the whole strategy in Clients with Purpose. But first of all, you mentioned you don't have a big following. Start building it by having those conversations. And then you mentioned a specific strategy, and that's doing free group masterclasses or free group spiritual psychological experiences, then inviting them to a call. Test it, try it. I think there's a much better way for you to do it and to get more committed people. But I would say try it, test it out. Some people like here's the thing. For a lot of people, you're looking for permission when you should be giving yourself permission and then testing it and then learning from the tests. Sometimes I've worked with clients and I've told them, go make a mistake. Literally, you've been trying to be perfect for the last 2 weeks. Go make 10 mistakes and then we'll have our next coaching call. Go try 10 new things. Go try it, then document what you learned from it, and then we'll continue coaching. Here's a gold nugget for somebody. Failure is the pathway to success. It's not what you need to avoid. It's a pathway. It's literally how you get there. People who struggle with perfectionism, There's two things to know about them. Because guess what? I used to be there 100% as well. And sometimes I'm still recovering. Two things. One, you have a negative or destructive belief when it comes to failure. Right? You think failure is bad. You've been taught failure is bad. And then two, you likely have a destructive relationship with disappointment. You have a destructive relationship with disappointment. So one, you've been told failure is bad. You have a belief, deep-seated belief that failing is a bad thing and you should never do it. And we get taught that in school, right? Getting an F is a bad thing. Failing is a bad thing. It's not. Failing means you're making mistakes means you're doing something. Making mistakes means you're in action. So go make mistakes. And then also number two, the destructive relationship with disappointment. The number one thing that is a sign for people who will be successful in business that I have seen over the last 10 years is how you experience disappointment and how you interpret disappointment. If disappointment for you, if making a mistake, if failure to you is a sign to stop for you, you will always stop because you're going to make mistakes. But if making mistakes, if failing, if disappointment is a sign to you and you create meaning around that sign that, hey, this means I'm taking action. What did I learn? I'm 1,000 steps ahead now because I took this action. Then what's going to happen is you're going to lean in. You're going to lean forward and toward making more mistakes, taking more action. So I want to encourage you, go make a mistake today. Don't try to be perfect. Go make a mistake. I would rather be in the game making mistakes than on the sidelines trying to perfect the plan. I would much rather you be taking action than you trying to perfect the plan. Clarity comes from action, not from sitting at your kitchen table thinking about it. There's a time to reflect after taking action. So key. So go make mistakes. It's super important. Now, if you're live with me, go to Panache Tech Team Live. If you're on the rerun, go to Panache Tech Team Rerun. Say hi. I want to know what you're doing today to get in front of the right people. And if you have a question, we have a support thread. So make sure you go ask those questions in that support thread. I'll be there to support you to answer those questions. I'm going to be live every single day this week answering your questions. I'm Sean Q, your high-ticket sales coach. I help you easily land world-class clients, have more fun in your business so you don't have to use the ick, the sleaze, the non-consensual sales tricks of the past. I would be honored for you to enroll in Clients Purpose. You have until Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. PST, Pacific Time, California Time. 5:01, price is literally double. I would love to see you in there to continue supporting you. Go ahead and click enroll. Go to clientswithpurpose.com. You'll be able to enroll right now, and it's going to be pretty incredible. I'm Sean Q, your high-ticket sales coach, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.